Hello and welcome to the final Endless Backlog E3 Week podcast. We're going to finish it off with Nintendo. I am your host, Gagan Singh. The only people joining me on this one are William Berger.
Yo.
And Kira Sutherland.
Evening.
William, we made it through another year of E3 podcasts.
Yep.
Goddamn.
And I don't feel like I'm as worn out this year.
Yeah, well, because we don't have the pedal to the metal thing that we have to do. Well, I mean, that we did last year. We were like, no, yeah, we'll do both of them this year. And then we did, and we were like, maybe we did too many.
Yeah, no, I mean, you know, if they asked, I'd probably say yes, though, which is terrible.
Yeah. Well, that, and also, like, I felt like we let some of those podcasts linger longer last year because we were getting sidetracked more often. This year we've been very like, no, fuck it, we need to get through these.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's going into these with the mentality of like, listen, normal podcasts, I'm cool with bullshitting for 2 hours. This one, no. Let's get through this shit.
We gotta do another one right after.
Yeah, so it's been good. Nintendo. Nintendo had an E3 digital event, and Nintendo has their lineup of games at E3, and I think those two should be judged if I wasn't angry for some imaginary reason, they should, in theory, be judged for two different things, because, like I said, I don't think press conferences lineups are the same thing sometimes.
Yeah,
because the press conference can have its own unique issues, and then you look at the games lineup and, like, why the fuck did they fuck up so bad? You know? Mm-hmm. So, let's focus with the Nintendo digital event, right? Last year, because I think context matters, last year they had, by far and away, the best press conference. Because it had the Robot Chicken humor. They were showing game after game after game.
It was paced really well.
It was paced nicely. It was presented nicely, and specifically there was like there was less E3 bullshit to it. That helped its cause. And above all else, they had the Nintendo Treehouse, which is the best thing Nintendo does about E3.
Yeah,
you just watch their games get played all fucking day. And they're the ones presenting it, and the way Nintendo presents games is they just tell you what they... Like, they're almost too, like, oblivious to the concept that we don't find certain things as fun as they do. But because it's so genuine, you're cool with... Like, when... So, Nintendo opened this press conference with, or digital event with with Star Fox. That was the opener. The GOAT is working on it. Then we also, for those of you that don't know, Shigeru Miyamoto, I have just given up calling his goddamn name. Not that I don't know how to pronounce it, because the fuck out of here. He's the GOAT. He's the greatest of all time. There just should not be anything said. He is a treasure, and anytime he shares a story about how he came up with certain things is okay by me. And you should enjoy those two, otherwise you're a heartless monster. Anyway. And Platinum's making this game, so that's awesome because I like Platinum. But more specifically, like, he's sharing that story about how when you see arches, you just want to go underneath them. And I'm like, I never do that in real life. But then I thought about, like, what those arches were like in Star Fox. I was like, man, I always went under those things.
Yeah. It's a test. It's like hey, can I kill these guys quick enough to go under this arch?
Yeah. And it's what you instantly react to. I was like, that is the corniest. Like, what was that supposed to mean anything to me? And then you like really think about it. It's like, but he's right. Like, I was watching the Giant Bomb feed to see what their reactions were like. They were all like blank face, but then like it felt like they thought about what he just said and like, I mean, he is right. I do want to go under those arches when they show up in Star Fox.
Exhibit A, Corneria.
Yeah, Corneria. Basically, like, proof of concept for that.
So I don't know where that story stacks up. Like, he shared the whole story. Like, when he was watching, there was a kid cartoon called Thunderbirds, and they had pilots with different personality, which explains why Star Fox, more than a lot of Nintendo franchises, has always had spoken dialogue characters. Like, they've always had a very specific... Like, Falco's the dick. Slippy gets in trouble, so he's like literally the worst character ever.
Seriously? Then, fucking Slippy.
Peppy's old, so he needs help.
Yeah, Peppy's old and nerdy, and Rob's the guy keeping the team afloat, and Fox is like fearless leader. He's the all character, if you will. So, like, that stuff sounded cool, but I mean, I don't know where it ranks in the all-time Miyamoto stories of, I was gardening gardening plants and I saw ants pick up heavy shit, and that's how I came up with Pikmin.
I love to explore caves. I think that's my favorite.
I love to explore caves, and he created Legend of Zelda, which is a game about exploring caves, and he was on a train once, and he imagined the mountains as some dude hopping across them, and that's, Donkey Kong / Mario.
Mm-hmm.
And then, fuck man, that guy's got some great stories. I love that guy. He's the best.
Yeah. I just want him. I want there to be a digital event with him just talking.
Oh! Speaking of which, and not that I want to get into Mario Kart, Jeremy Parrish almost had a heart attack. I know you care about this, William, not the heart attack part. But specifically, when they were showing Mario Maker, they're showing these old sketches of Mario. And for like a brief second, I was with Jeremy. I mean, if I wasn't disappointed, I'd be with Jeremy Parrish. Like, no, fuck you. Show me more of that. Like, I need to see this. Like, what were those sketches like? Like, what?
Yeah, because, you always hear the stories about, like, Cliff Bleszinski or whatever, like, designing, like, via graph paper. And then Nintendo, that's how they made levels. And you're just like, oh my god.
It's like, no.
It all makes sense now.
There's a certain sort of, like, it's funny, because, like, the week or two before we had the podcast, and it was all about how I got old and things just aren't the same as they were. I feel like Nintendo's the old developer going, man, things were sure different, and that's sort of like a theme with a lot of things they were talking about in their dev stories, which I thought was which I always find endearing when Nintendo does it. Like, don't get me wrong, when they do stupid shit, I'm the first one to bitch about it, but those stories I always find entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
Need more of this. They just need, like, more of those Iwata asks, but in video form, because I love to hear the stories from not only Miyamoto, but the other guy who I can't say his name correctly, but he's the guy that made he directed Yoshi's Island, so he's the fucking man.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was the opener. Which I think is a strong open. Star Fox is, as I like putting it, is, when I'm being condescending, but it's not that Star Fox 64 isn't good. It is a very good game. It's just that I would never put Star Fox in the starting lineup of Nintendo franchises, and that's not a knock against Star Fox, as much as Star Fox would be perfectly fine if it was a Microsoft or Sony IP in the starting lineup, because there's a shitload of games in their starting lineup I don't give a fuck about, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Nintendo just happens to be the company that made, Mario, Zelda, Metroid, Smash Brothers, Fire Emblem, F-Zero, Mother, the Paper Mario games, Advance Wars, Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you actually have to think about, well, if they're what's their top 5?
Right.
Yeah.
And then
if Xenoblade 2 is as good as, or as revered as Xenoblade 1 is, suddenly Xenoblade becomes the other, like, the new up-and-coming Nintendo IP that gets, some status, so.
Right. And then Star Fox has to deal with, like, Star Fox Assault maybe wasn't that good,
Yeah,
So.
Star Fox Assault wasn't particularly good. People don't like Star Fox Adventures because it's very poor man's Zelda, and it's not Star Fox. I think that game's fun. I remember really liking it as a kid. I feel like if I went back, I'd be like, oh yeah, this is poor man's Zelda with a dinosaur.
Yeah, I mean, I really like Adventures because I like it's got a lot of charm.
It had a good look.
Yeah, and it looks good, and like it's got that Rare, like that visual style that Rare had.
Yeah.
But it's this weird like Zelda 2 anomaly.
Yeah.
Zelda 2 anomaly.
Yeah, like because Zelda 2 is like completely different than the other Zelda games, and that's what Star Fox is. There's Star Fox Adventures is.
Yeah, his press conference did have some anomalies too, if they exist. Anyway, the next, I don't actually remember the order of their games, so I'll just go to Mario Maker, which is the big one. I thought what they actually showed during the press conference isn't as strong, even though it was the closer for their digital event, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't scream closer game for whatever reason when you think about it. But I feel like it's going to be such a great thing. Like, it's the ultimate platformer making game. Because you're not just making any platformer, you're making the man. You're making Mario's games. The best.
It's a perfect tool for, like, to teach yourself game design.
Yeah.
I wish it was out when I was, like, in college, because it would have been, like, this would have been, like, the best way to be like, this is how you actually implement all these ideas that we are telling you about without having to worry about making it actually work.
What's interesting is, like, he when he was talking about it, he was talking about the oldest Miyamoto story that everyone knows about a game design is the mushroom in the original Super Mario Brothers is specifically put in a way that if you tried to hop it without knowing if it's a good thing or not, you would hit the block and bounce down, and you would get hit by the mushroom, and you'd be like, oh, it makes you go bigger. Because otherwise, your instant reaction might have been to not acknowledge what the mushroom did, right? You would have tried to dodge it. And it's classic. It was a little boring, because, like, Miyamoto, we've actually heard this, like, a lot. Like, you wouldn't believe how many YouTube videos are out there on Nintendo's genius of level design, and it begins with this part. You know, like, it always goes back to the original Super Mario Brothers. That game had a great showing at Nintendo World Championship, though. Like, that was a showing that really made that game look cool. Because they're just crazy levels. There was this one speedrunner, I can't remember his name, was just killing it on like this monster-ass stage. And I'm like, man, if this is the stuff you can do, and you can do the whole, I'm going to make an 8-world Mario game of just my levels, like, Nintendo made such a great level maker. You know, I think it doesn't appeal to our group as strongly because we prefer... Like, I'd rather have Super Mario Galaxy 3, for instance, inherently more than, like, a level maker, but like, this is probably the best one, and you'll get so many hours out of it as a game, like, if you're really into it, you know. And in an era where Minecraft is the thing, clearly there's an audience for this stuff.
And, you know, it comes with, like, stuff from Mario Brothers 3, Super Mario World, Yoshi's Island. Like, it's got all those aesthetics put in there and all those power-ups and all those items and new items. And, like, there's going to be pre-built stages, of course, and you'll be able to play other people's stuff. Like, I'm kind of, like, amazed that it took Nintendo this long to make this game. And it is really cool. I don't know how well it is as a closer. Like, Star Fox was a strong opener because it was Star Fox, but it had all these new stuff that we hadn't seen, like the transformations and... the way the levels,
since Star Fox 2, that mech, which I think Star Fox 2 never came out in the West.
It never came out at all.
Never came out at all.
No, it was completely scrapped. It was almost done, and then they scrapped it, and they made Star Fox 64.
So why didn't they just call this Star Fox 2 then?
Because it's basically Star Fox 1, isn't it?
Well, I guess. I mean, I don't know.
Like, they're rebooting the series because they felt Assault was... Which isn't bad, because I didn't mind that Star Fox had a crush on a chick. It was just that maybe we didn't need the stuff Rare did, because Star Fox Assault had Crystal, and she wasn't the problem, but there was, like, this weird story lineage going on in Star Fox. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, and, you know, like, the team changed a lot, and it got, like, do we need it to do this? Like...
I mean, Kamiya's not working on it, but, like, it's still Platinum, so I would imagine everyone else at Platinum had some input on it.
I can't believe that, like, you know, with his love for space shooters, that he would not be, like...
It is, like, one of those things, like, you think he shows up at their office, like, so, hey, guys, you think I could get a spin, maybe? I don't know.
Like... I came up with this really cool level. You don't have to use it, but I'm just gonna leave it here. And
it's just, I tried to fit it in scale bounds. Like, but why does it look like Star Fox? I don't know. Initially it looked different. I figured, it was just a little thing I put together. It seemed really detailed for something you just put together.
There's like 18 pages here, man. Like,
there's like 20 pages. Yeah, exactly. So it'll be interesting. As soon as we were seeing the boss fights when we were watching the thing, I'm like, man, those bosses look huge. In a way, the Star Fox bosses aren't big. They're big, but they're never like... They look towering in the trailer.
Yeah, and like they were going through the environments, and normally like a Star Fox boss is you get to the end and you're fighting at a standstill, right?
Yeah.
Like
they shoot at you and you're like moving
dodging
around the screen.
Right. And this was like, hey, this is like the middle of the level. Watch this. And that was really cool.
Yeah. How do you feel about the game not having multiplayer for the Star Fox part?
I mean, like, I think multiplayer would be awesome if it had it, but
yeah, you don't need it.
Yeah, that's not the appeal of that to me. Like, the appeal of that to me is just playing that game a lot and mastering it and like really learning the ins and outs of it and just getting good at it. Mm-hmm. So, like, I'd rather them focus on that than them focus on multiplayer.
You think it'll be a $60 game given how quick Star Fox usually is? Star Fox 64 is you beat that game in a day.
You can beat that game in an hour.
Yeah.
I don't know that.
Than an hour.
I've beaten it in an hour. I actually timed myself recently.
I was good at that game. I don't think I've ever beaten. I don't know. Maybe I did beat it in an hour. I don't know.
I mean, that was
cool,
admittedly that was after like weeks of me like playing and meddling and getting really good. But I don't know.
It needs a leaderboard though, man.
Yeah,
like,
that would be.
Nintendo needs to at least get to a point where they do leaderboards already. Like, imagine what that game would be on Xbox Live.
Oh, that would be so.
If we would get people in our group that would play that game, and we would, because think about Bulletstorm. When that demo came out, all we did was shit talk about who was leading the pack in scores, and Bayonetta was the same thing until Ben and all Joseph cheated, and then I'm not bitter about that at all or anything. Anyway, but Star Fox, like, it would be the same scenario, like, hey, suck it, fuck you, Will.
Yeah, no, I think that would be really cool. I mean, I just
Will cheated too.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm super happy that it's back.
Yeah.
And I hope that whatever they do, like I'm interested in the price now that you brought that up.
Yeah.
Maybe
you don't want it to be a commercial failure either.
No,
it took
I mean you
too
want
long to get back to Star Fox at this point.
And see, my thing is like maybe with just how big, like, because I watched some of the treehouse footage of it, and the levels are just so big that maybe, you know, if you have like, because Star Fox 64 has what, like maybe 15 planets total,
something like that.
Something like that. Like it's a good chunk. Like if they're all that big and there's multiple paths, then I could see that like that's a $60 game.
And they're built for the fact that you can use any vehicle, because that's what it sounded like they were saying.
Yeah. So I mean that's definitely really cool.
Best news that they didn't say during the thing, you can turn the gyro controls off and just play with the analog sticks if you want.
Oh, thank God.
Oh, thank God.
I was like, this looks like a game that'll be ruined by the stupid controls.
Mm-hmm. And I heard gyro controls, and I'm like, no one wants that. No one has. No.
I mean,
as excited as the GOAT is about it, I'd be like, you know what? Maybe I could try it. Maybe he's right.
Like, I kind of played around with it on the 3DS with the Star Fox 64 re-release remake thing, and it wasn't bad. But like the option to turn it off was really nice. So like, I'm glad that they did that again. It's
like as long as they give you the option. No harm done.
Yeah, and Nintendo's usually pretty good about that, so don't really have an issue with that.
Yeah. So that'll do it for that. Mario Maker again looks strong. Zelda is getting a new 3DS game. It's called Triforce Quest.
Triforce Heroes.
Triforce Heroes, sorry. Triforce Heroes. Try because it's basically a Zelda Four Swords game, but it's a Triforce game because the story they said was they experimented a totem mechanic where you're all like basically totemed up, like one guy on top of the other, and then the third guy has to either grab something or shoot an arrow at something or whatever he's gonna have to do with the item he has. And they were initially doing it with 4 and realized that 4 of them towered over the screen and all that stuff, and it just didn't fit. So they dropped the game number down to 3, which I guess if you want to be a cynical dick about it, which you would say, oh, it looked like you would actually have to do work and adjust the game and not use assets from Link Between Worlds and make this a quickie, right? You know, I'm not saying I said those words, but I'm 90% sure that I would have said those words. The other way of looking at it is simply that Nintendo has almost always experimented with shit like almost all the motherfucking time, because there's that Sunshine story that they probably did experiment with it, and they just really did, it really did become an issue of, do we make new assets and like a whole new game around 4 and then like try to make it fit this screen, or do we make it so, well, fuck it, 3 people.
Yeah, I mean, like looking at it, it looked like what you could see with 3 people was like
on a 3DS,
nearing the edge of like what you could process.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that they did it.
You have to make Link shorter for the 3DS than he already was in Link Between Worlds. So,
and I mean, those characters are already pretty small, and with the only difference being the color, you know, maybe you don't want to get lost on like, hey, I'm purple today.
Yeah.
It's interesting in the sense that like it's not 4 swords, so it's not just straightforward, just 4 of us barreling through a game. That does seem like it would create some interesting puzzle designs, but
I mean, the puzzles are going to be great because Nintendo.
Because it's Nintendo. They tend to make...
And they'll probably have come up with, like, stuff for, like, 3 players.
Yeah.
That they couldn't do with 4.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Nintendo's never going to make a stump you puzzle, but they do make clever puzzles.
Yeah.
That's the way I put it. Because the best Zelda stuff isn't necessarily hard. It's intricate, elaborate, and you feel smart when you're doing it.
Yeah, and when it clicks, it feels really intuitive. And the thing that got me about it, and I remember specifically when we were watching the conference, or I guess the direct, was that we were all talking about, man, it would be great if this had online. And then they were like, oh, we hope everybody plays it online because that's something we want to like experiment with for this. And I was like, oh, bless you, Nintendo.
Almost like they're halfway there to acknowledging the 21st century. Almost.
Yeah.
It's like, does the internet exist? Maybe.
Maybe. Like, do you think we should use it for this, Sonoma-san? Yes. Okay. So,
yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's gonna be cool. I actually want to play it. I'm excited. Co-op Zelda's awesome. I don't know. I'm like when like you said, it's really easy to be cynical and like they pushed the Wii U Zelda back for this. And then, but on the other hand, like it does look cool. And when they played it at the Treehouse, it looked like it was so much fun.
I was having fun watching.
It looks fun. And the problem with it always is that, like a Four Swords game, you go, I'd rather just. This might be relatively offbeat or something, but. The one offbeat thing everyone seems to go to bat for is Majora's Mask. Otherwise, everyone goes, I'd rather just have proper Zelda. Or proper Zelda. Right? And especially given how good A Link Between Worlds is. Because I would argue the internet hipster Zelda right now is... If number 1 is Majora's Mask, number 2, Link Between Worlds is starting to get there.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it gets a lot of love lately. So,
but I think that it showed pretty strong.
No,
so
it will look really strong. It's Nintendo. At least the game feel will be good. You're guaranteed that. Yeah. Like any Nintendo game, like they nailed the controls. What a shocker!
It's going to be a good game.
Yeah,
yeah.
They also showed Mario Tennis.
Which I'm like, Mario Tennis.
I mean, it looks fun, but I guess that's just not my kind of game.
Yeah. I remember liking Mario Tennis on the 64, and then they were like, they made another one, and I'm like, I guess.
It's like, did you really need to, though?
Yeah, I'm sure if I sat down and played it, it would be great, because, like you said, game feel is a thing that they do really well, but I can't see myself purchasing it.
I think it suffers the Mario Kart effect the Mario Kart thing for me and Phil, like, it just takes a place, like a space. It's like, it's another one of those. It's not that I think it's bad, necessarily. It's that I just don't get excited or care even when I'm playing it and having fun. I'm like, okay, it's that game.
Yeah.
That's what it is. The other Zelda thing was announced was that they're making that Dynasty Warriors thing for the 3DS, which I haven't said anything mean on any of these podcasts in a long time, but Dynasty Warriors is fucking cancer. You can go on now because you like that game. So
I thought Hyrule Warriors was really fun. I'm glad that apparently it was successful enough to get ported to 3DS. The Wind Waker characters look cool. I hope they make them available for the Wii U version, and that's really all I have to say about that.
Okay.
I'm going to keep this brief. I don't want you, I know you're going to have a little harder time later, so we're just going to avoid it now.
Yeah. Fire Emblem Fates is coming to the 3DS in North America 2016. I am a big Fire Emblem fan. I love strategy RPGs. Valkyria Chronicles ranked pretty fucking high for me last gen. I like XCOM, so I'm really looking forward to that. And then, I really love Path of Radiance on GameCube. I love the GBA ones. Awakening was good, right?
Mm-hmm.
I thought there were clever decisions that, streamline certain things for the better, and then there were other streamlining moves that were like, you didn't need to get rid of Fog of War or this other shit. And
maybe you shouldn't have made this relationship stuff quite so central, and because it's pretty complex, right? So I feel like you have to integrate that while you're playing Awakening, and it's fine. It's just one of those I
don't mind that you added waifus to Fire Emblem. It's almost like, it almost makes sense for Fire Emblem. But I also want my Fire Emblem gameplay, and initially when they were showing the thing, I was like, yes, Chris, they've gone full waifu on this. It's a waifu emblem now. Right? So, but they were the details they showed about the game. So they messed with, what do they specifically mess with? They've added daggers to the thing. So there's like a new class or two. I forgot what specific. Oh, right. The weapons don't have a breaking limit now. Like you don't have 35 steel lance or 25 thing, which is potentially another move where it's like, I don't want you to do this, but there was another balancing move, which I'm forgetting what they did, but it sounded like, see, as long as you're making adjustments elsewhere, I can... When you're gonna take things away, you need to put something else in that replaces what that thing... Like, the focus of that thing, right?
Right, so, the big thing about the weapons was that it forced you to choose what characters were gonna specialize in, and what you were gonna carry. Like, were you gonna... I always took the path of, I'm gonna carry bronze swords, because my characters will eventually get good enough that it won't matter, and I'll spend less money. Yeah. But... You know, like, you could approach that and be like, I'm just going to give everybody a killing edge. You know what I mean? Yeah. So,
or what ends up happening is you end up having... You just wait out until you're going to get... You just do the bronze, the sealed, and then eventually get the silver sword. And you're like, yeah, I'm good. I don't need brave weapon or... This, I feel like, at least opens up the possibility that you'll mess with the weapons a little bit more. Because I bet that's where the decision came up. Was a lot of the player base just says, why would I use a killing axe when it's not... gonna be around for a while, or glass weapons, specifically glass weapons, because they're never around for a while and stuff like that. So that's smart.
This is expensive. I'm only gonna get to use it a handful of times. It kills my money. Yeah.
Not my enemies, my money.
So that's smart. I think the two weapon thing, not the two weapon thing, the two games thing bothers me on a whole nother level though. But if it really does come down to we made the casual friendly, I don't want to call it the casual version because it's just there's something asshole about it. The more accessible version, and versus like the nerd fan base version, which yes, I fall under nerd fan base version. Then I'm cool with that. Otherwise, maybe I go the Oracle Seasons, Oracle Ages route of actually trying both. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I want to believe it's not just bullshit that I have to get two copies.
I'm definitely in the camp of like, I'm a really big Fire Emblem fan. Like, I love those games. I've played them to death. I love mastering them. So I'm like definitely hardcore nerd Fire Emblem. But as long as, and I think the big thing is like that Awakening sold really, really well. Yeah. As long as the series gets to continue, I'm fine with it. Yeah. And if that brings more people into Fire Emblem, then great. You know.
Yeah. I just hope after this, either Advance Wars or they keep going with Codename Steam. I don't want... Because it was a new IP and I'd like to see... And whatever, I haven't played the game. Might suck when I play it. But I did buy it. But I want... I believe the studio, even if they fucked up on the first game, they can fix it. Like, I would imagine... You know, you don't just bury a new... And Nintendo's usually pretty stubborn on certain things anyway. It's not like they buried Luigi's Mansion. They eventually came back to it.
Yeah, and, you know, Intelligent Systems is really great at iterating on what they've built. I would love a new Advance Wars. That's what I really want, and I keep hoping that we're going to get it, because it's so different.
Oh, Dual Strike is such a great game.
Yeah, I would really love another Advance Wars. Please, Nintendo, more Advance Wars.
As far as Intelligent Systems, I think Dual Strike might be my favorite Intelligent Systems game. Like, over 1,000 Year Door and probably Path of Radiance.
I lean really heavy on the original Fire Emblem on the GBA and Radiant Dawn. I like both of those, but Paper Mario and Advance Wars are all, and it's just like...
That studio's had a good run as far as making stuff.
Yeah. We also had that Animal Crossing game.
And
they turned it to a board game?
Yeah.
Because losing your friends with Mario Party just wasn't enough.
Yeah.
And you need amiibos for it, apparently.
The game is free.
Right, but you need amiibos.
Yeah, you need amiibos for it, so it's weird.
I feel like it's an even better way to lose your friends and a more expensive way to lose your friends, and I'm not about that.
Another one of those things where I just go, no, Armand, you're not getting that. We're not getting amiibos. You already are into Skylanders, you buy too many. Anyway, speaking of which, Skylanders Superchargers was a thing shown. Again, these games are super cool. I would have been all over it when I was a kid, but they don't really appeal to us because it's just the type of games we like. I think we just appreciate them for what they are, right? Because kids deserve good games.
Yeah, they do.
It's kind of ridiculous that the entire market has become adult-centric to the point where kids have to settle for iPad games.
Right? Like, when I was thinking about this the other day, when we were kids, like, you know, you could find plenty of stuff, and Nintendo was usually the people making it, but there were other studios that were doing it too.
Almost like when you were a kid, you played Castlevania and Mega Man and Gunstar Heroes and Sonic and Vector Man and all these crazy things, even Street Fighter, and then now you're a kid and you're just like,
everything is
Mortal
rated
Kombat
M.
X!
And it's extremely violent, and like, wow.
Doom!
Yeah, Doom!
It's like, you should not be playing that.
It's like, you don't need to, it goes whatever.
Skylanders is great for kids.
Skylanders is good.
And I mean, if I was a kid, I'd be...
I would be all over that as a kid.
It all comes back to, is like, we are finally not the demographic for a video game that might be good.
Yeah.
What else? What else? Shin Megami Tensei Cross Fire Emblem?
Looks really fucking strange.
I was just kind of like, whoa, what are we watching?
Yeah, it was the most anime thing I think I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
But Atlas is actually really good at turn-based games like that, and so is Intelligent Systems, and Fire Emblem it only happens to be pretty much like the game that more or less started that style of game.
Oh, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think it'll be fantastic. It's just like
that trailer was...
The aesthetic of that game is
the aesthetic of that game is like they totally went all in on the waifu thing.
Yeah, and it just kind of turns me... Like, I can handle it in small to medium doses, but
as a joke?
Yeah, when it's that extreme, it just... Like, because that seems sincere, and I'm just kind of like, I don't know if I want to get involved with that.
Yeah, I don't know if I can, like, play this with a straight face in front of people.
Yeah, like, I feel like if someone looked over my shoulder, what are you playing? Nothing?
Yeah, like, Bayonetta, I will go to bat for that, just for different reasons. Like, it's not as tacky as you think it is. But that definitely looked really tacky. A little.
Yeah.
I still want to play it, so I don't give a fuck. One of the negative announcements from this thing, Mario and Luigi Paper Jam. And I'm going to say negative just because Mario RPGs have been around for a while. Super Mario RPG just happens to be a classic. Thousand Year Door, I already said, is basically a classic. Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga is a great fucking game. But their style of humor is the same across all of them. It's not like it's not like there's a major shift in the comedy there. Their gameplay is relatively similar on some level. Right? Like, the only major shifts are, like, Sticker Star and Super Paper Mario.
Right. But, I mean, like...
So I'm not sensing, like, when they show two Mario worlds collide, first of all it does is make me think of how much of a whore Mario has been over the years. Because it's like, man, this does nothing for... This is, like, the worst crossover idea I've ever seen. Mario with Mario. Like, what? No.
It looks like they're going in a unique direction, though.
Yeah, like, I mean, admittedly, we didn't see a whole lot of gameplay, but it seemed like it was, like, part 2D, part, like, Paper Mario.
Paper Mario can do stuff that Mario and Luigi can't do.
But you've got the turn-based combat. And, like, as someone who was really disappointed that Sticker Star and Super Paper Mario kind of went away from that, like, to see it come back to, like, the old school Paper Mario makes me happy. So, I get what you're saying. It's just, like, I haven't played all those games yet, so I'm excited. But I'm weird like that.
I just like Paper Mario.
Yeah, I really just like Paper Mario. I really wish we'd just get a third one instead of, like, jumping through hoops.
Yeah. We did get a third one. You want a fourth one?
Because you got Paper Mario 1,000 Year Door, I want, like, a proper third one.
I agree. I don't like Super Paper Mario. I think it's a bad game. I'm just saying. Like, okay, yeah. I don't know. Maybe... It's annoying to be the assholes at the other E3 and say, please stop making more of this. And then it'll be like, Nintendo, please keep making... Like, maybe Mario RPGs are done. Maybe you should just make your own RPG series. That would be built on some of this concept. Because maybe Mario's shackling these things.
I think,
I feel like those jokes have run out. Like, how many times can you joke about the princess gets stealing? Bowser's likes knitting. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, at some point, you just ran out of jokes to make about this, because it's like, yeah, you like joking about the fact that Mario gets too many games. You know what's also getting too many games? Mario RPGs.
I mean,
because that's my issue. I'm like, when Paper Mario 64 came out, it was a novelty. It was unique. It was cool. When Super Mario RPG happened as a kid, your mind exploded at the Final Fantasy game with Mario or whatever, right? Like, you didn't even know that it was the Final Fantasy people because you didn't give a fuck about the developer part.
No.
Like that. Yeah. And then Thousand Year Door just happens to be like a well-made version of that game. Mario and Luigi was just like, oh, they're making a game where Luigi's actually in the title and just not brothers, you know?
Yeah.
And it sounded really cool. Yeah.
I mean, like, I think I would either like to see them, like, take a break for a little bit and come back to it, or, I mean, I think it would be really cool to see intelligent systems, like, move away from that and towards their own concept with that, like, maybe with that core gameplay, or flip it on its head.
Super Smash RPG.
Yeah, like, you know.
Because it's coming back to the Mario Kart thing, is like, honestly, at this point, you might as well make it you might as well make it a joke about the Nintendo universes in general.
Yeah.
Right? That would be awesome.
And, I mean, that's what it's getting to with Mario Kart 8, but...
Yeah, we're almost close to Super Smash Kart.
Super Smash Kart.
But, yeah, I mean, like, I'm still interested in that game, but I think maybe it needs to go to bed for a little bit, or something else needs to happen. Mm-hmm. For sure.
Beyond that... Xenoblade got a release date. You're right.
Yeah, December 4th. Super excited. Got another trailer for that. Looks really good.
All of the mecha.
All of the mechs. It just, every time I see that game, I'm more impressed with it. Super excited.
You turned off by the fact that a lot of hands-on impressions for the imported version and even reviews for that have not been as strong in Japan already? Because the game's out there, and it's not getting the... I feel like Xenoblade 1 proper had like this amazing buzz around it before it ever even came to this country. And then this one's getting like, yay.
Well, it kind of looks like it's more aimed toward a Western audience.
Yeah.
Just like the aesthetic and like the size of the world. I mean, I think it's definitely not your traditional JRPG.
Yeah, and I mean, those things I think are exciting because, like, I want to get in a mech and, like, run around the world and explore all that stuff.
And
so
a lot of the appeal of the original Xenoblade was that it wasn't traditional JRPG. A lot of what made it compelling to so many people. A lot of the reason why Xenoblade 1 was praised by Western critics was it feels evolutionary and not another one of those JRPGs. You know?
Right. So, I mean, like, having read some of those things, I think for some people it's just maybe not what they're into. Mm-hmm. But for me, it sounds really cool. So, I'm still excited.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, God, I can't believe we were forgetting this. Yoshi's Woolly World looks adorable.
The amiibos for that look so cute.
Oh my God, he's so good looking. The game's got too whimsy, and my friend's like, dude, you're gay. I'm like, dude, you what? No. And then he's like, dude, you're gay, but this really is the cutest fucking thing in the world.
Yeah, I want to play that game. It looks really cool. I'm glad that somebody at Nintendo just keeps like, make yarn games, everyone. You know.
You see, we're gonna take what was good about Kirby, but make it better because Yoshi.
Yeah. And challenge.
He's got better noises than Kirby. He always has. Does. And Nintendo's monopoly on all things cute needs to be stopped at this point on some level. It's almost too whimsy in this world. You watch that game and you're like instant joy. The fucking joy. Unless you're Jeff Gerstmann, in which you go, man, imagine if this game had cool characters.
But yeah, if you're the rest of us, it's like, and then his heart grew 3 sizes that day. So.
Oh, Jeff would like the game. He's like, man, imagine if the Pushmo characters were in this instead of bullshit ass Yoshi. The egg throwing mechanic looks great with the yarn when you're making the windmill, and I'm like, oh, that's so cute.
Yeah.
And then he turns into a motorcycle, and I'm like, oh, that's so cute.
Just that whole thing looks really cool.
It's so good. I'm honestly super excited for that game. And I didn't like Epic Yarn too much. Like, I thought it was cute and adorable and creative. It's just ultimately came down to...
This is really easy.
It's a Kirby game, so they always make those games too easy and almost too kid-friendly to the point where they're, like, more than any other franchise, Kirby is aimed at kids. And it's like... But I don't think that's necessarily... It's not that it's not a good kids game, but you have to qualify it as it's a good kids game. It's not a good game proper, in my opinion. Yeah.
Epic Yarn was like the game you would play like if you were just like dying from like a cold because it was so easy.
Yeah. So yeah, really positive things to say about that. I'm glad they addressed the issue of challenge and showed us like, hey, this is how you can make the game more difficult for yourself. So so we're at that point.
So the conference was kind of boring because it was just really just dragging in spots, and I didn't really find the Muppets funny. And then there wasn't a lot of like crazy announcements. Like, there was no Zelda moment. There was no Bayonetta 2's looking great, and then like there was stuff they could have shown though, like Earthbound Beginnings. All right, whatever. I don't need to see Mother 1 because Mother 3 is the one I want, obviously. But we have to be getting close at this point.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, we're getting so close.
And,
to Mother 3.
Beyond that, like, I feel like some of the things that they decided not to show are, like, I feel like if they'd shown Fatal Frame, like, that would have been gone over really well.
Yeah, it would have gave Fatal Frame a chance to actually make money in the West.
Yeah. It's just, it seemed like a lot of the stuff they showed was really kind of fluff.
Yeah. And Gagan, you have to talk about
Fatal Frame, Made in the Blackwater. I think that game looks great because it looks like the perfect game for the Wii U pad that just happens to be a horror game about photo cameras.
Yeah, and redundant. I'm like, if it weren't for Nintendo, that game would not be coming out. So I'm really glad
I'm happy that Nintendo has an interesting IP like that under their belt. As far as the other IPs I'd like Nintendo to stop on, this ain't one of them. Like, please, no, bring more.
Yeah.
Make Fatal Frame 50. Maybe I'll tell you to stop at 51. That's probably going too far. Right now we're only on Fatal Frame 5? Yeah, 5.
Yeah, this is 5.
And then 3 and 4 never really came. Well, 3 might have, but 4 definitely didn't come out here.
Yeah.
1 and 2 came out, but...
Yeah. I think 3 did. I'm pretty sure Fatal Frame 3 came out here.
Yeah.
But I don't think 4 did. 4. I don't think 4 did.
Didn't. 4 is a Wii game that didn't come out here, and it's apparently really cool.
So you have to talk about this.
That's done. Thing. Yeah, that was a Nintendo Digital event. Will, what did you grade it?
Gagan,
you have to do it.
We have to. I want to give you your moment to talk about this.
I don't want to pretend. I'm going to pretend whatever that you think happened did not happen. It's Ninja Gaiden 3. It is Devil May Cry 2. It is fucking... What else is... the Matrix sequels. None of these things exist. They never happened. They never... At an E3 where bullshit-ass Final Fantasy VII gets a remake, where the Make-A-Wish Foundation had a press conference, and Shenmue is coming back, and Yu Suzuki was on stage, nothing happened that would offend me. There was... no way at the E3 where somehow Master Shake and fucking Ben get a W that Nier is getting developed by Platinum. This game that completely tanked commercially, that's only remembered for its story. Because if you try to defend its gameplay, it's like, okay, come on, you know it sucks. Like, the game part sucks. Is getting one of the best game developers at specifically the type of gameplay Nier tried to have in Platinum. Nor am I going to focus on that of the Nintendo franchises, Star Fox is a goddamn bench warmer, and not only do they get the GOAT making it, they get Platinum making it, so they got this absurd combination where Miyamoto's working. Nothing happened. Kingdom Hearts 3 was shown that's in development at this E3. And there's a new Square Enix studio, and that somehow some asshole decided, let's make a Metroid game into a fucking soccer game. What kind of bullshit is this? I'm the only one that came out of E3 without a single W. The indie stuff does not count. I universally like indie things. Those were a given. The surprises, everyone got a surprise. Of some kind. Everyone. I didn't get a surprise. I am mad. This is bullshit of the highest order, and it's just the lengths Nintendo went to troll me. Like, last year they did the Mother 3 thing as a dick move, but at least I felt like we were all getting shitted on last year, right? Because we all had that moment. We had the Vib Ribbon moment, we had the Conquer thing, which was like super dick, and then we had the Mother 3 thing, which was just like, oh, come on. Right? Okay.
Right.
Okay, we had that awful E3. So I figured with Mother 1 being the Mother game they picked, alright, I already got trolled. They can't troll me twice. Why would you? That would be cruel and unusual to do that. So they took Metroid, whose last game was Other M, which has tainted the franchise to a lot of people. I don't think the game is as bad of a game, necessarily. The story is every bit as bad as everyone makes it out to be. The thing is a train wreck.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right? In a world where X-Rare guys are making Kickstarter projects for Yooka-Laylee, in a world where Igarashi has left freaking Konami to go make Castlevania, when Kojima's about to finally make his final Metal Gear, right? Like a weird year already of interesting and some disappointing, mostly interesting things happening, because I actually look at Kojima leaving Metal Gear as a positive. He'll get to
I think that's
things.
the best thing that's ever happened to him in the last 10 years.
I think he's very happy.
343 looks like they actually fixed Halo 5's multiplayer.
They look like they have their shit together.
Yeah. It's like we're actually in this weird limbo of E3, but Metroid, at an E3, by the way, that had a surprisingly healthy amount of female protagonists. If you think about what we saw at E3 this year. More than any other year, I don't think we could say that at press conferences. We had the Horizon chick, we had Tomb Raider, we had an Assassin's Creed character, I'm forgetting one, and then the ReCore game has a girl.
Fatal Frame, I think, has a female
Fatal
protagonist.
Frame has a female protagonist. It's the Fatal Frame series. You are correct about that.
It sounds like Tacoma has a lady protagonist as well.
Huh?
Tacoma
is obviously going to have a lady protagonist because they made Gone Home. And then Itagaki got to show a trailer. And his game's being shown at E3. So, like, all this happy stuff. But the leading lady in video games ain't on her fucking game. Is not in her fucking game. The dicketry that is this abomination called Metroid. The level that they went to pull this off. Because allegedly Next Level Games, who is making this game, had a prototype Metroid game before Luigi's Mansion 2, which I don't particularly like as a game, but it was interesting on some level. But they were making proper Metroid. A 2D Metroid, which I think if Super Metroid isn't the best game of all time, because Resident Evil 4... it's damn near fucking close, because it would be number 2. If not, Metroid Prime would be number 2. I just can't pick between Metroid Prime and Super Metroid. I love those games. In a world where Axiom Verge and Apotheon are out as these big Metroid-like games...
Ori and the Blind Forest.
Ori and the Blind Forest, which everyone is talking about as like this next big thing in that space...
we can't get a proper Metroid.
Samus can't get a proper Metroid. She's benched. Her franchise's game, like everything you would associate with great about Metroid, isn't even in this fucking game. It's a 4-player first-person shooter, co-op mission-based game on a device that I would never want to play first-person shooters on, with chibi art, which is like the fucking opposite of atmosphere to me.
Yeah. You know what the worst thing is?
And the thing that finally twists the knife even more to the heart is they put the words Metroid Prime in the title.
Even worse than that, and I can see what with this happening, maybe. Although Nintendo's been pretty good about revisiting their franchises, but if this doesn't sell, that's not good for Metroid.
Let's just put it like this. Metroid Prime Federation Force looks like shit. It looks like a shitty game. Like how did this get made? It looks terrible.
Why is this
so
like
stupid.
carrying?
Why is it Metroid?
Why is this carrying the title of one of your marquee franchises? Maybe Metroid never had the numbers of Mario.
Yeah, let me put it this way. It's not that Zelda has never had shit like this, because everybody's going, like, it's not like the shitty Zelda game stops regular Zelda. Zelda's been hoard a little. Alright? Zelda's had spin-offs that are like, maybe Nintendo shouldn't have done them. Like
Link's
the
Crossbow
CDI,
Training.
Link's Crossbow Training, the CDI stuff. The Force Swords games in themselves are very, like them pimping it out. Hyrule Warriors was them pimping it out. Metroid, they made a pinball game once. And that pinball game was fantastic. But it was fantastic. But like the other Metroid Prime Hunters was still like a proper single player game. They just made it, like, the thought process made sense. It was,
right.
Let's try to make Metroid Prime on a DS. It's our new handheld. And this is the most recent thing the audience recognizes as Metroid. Because they haven't touched Super Metroid in a while, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I fucking got. I was so fucking pissed. Dejected.
I'm so sorry, Gagan.
I'm
sorry.
They showed Yoshi during that thing, and honestly, and I just said that Yoshi puts nothing but joy in your heart. During that digital event, it did not put joy in my heart, because I was pretty sad.
Oh.
See, the one thing that I can take out of this is maybe a positive for Metroid is that they've got to be saving it for NX. They have to be. Retro is working on something.
And I don't necessarily know if I want Retro to do Metroid, because I do want, like, Retro to do something else. Like I've said before, I was like, I want to see what Retro could do with Zelda. I think they absolutely could give Enuma a run for his money, because they've shown they can make some pretty kick-ass games. The Donkey Kong games are pretty good. The Metroid Prime games are excellent, except for one. That one just happens to be good. I just hate on it because the first two were excellent, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, at least if they're making Metroid Prime, I'm not going to be angry. I would just be like, okay, yeah, cool, I'm down. But Retro is, again, a bench from this E3, and whatever, that's fine. But it's like, there's just weird management about Nintendo that made this press conference annoying. They're either benching everything for a new system, which means, I'm sorry, the Wii U was a very bad console in the Nintendo run. It's the weakest of the bunch, easily. And that's a shame, because they had 2 Platinum games on it, but, like, that means we didn't really get a proper Mario. Like, a proper, like, that single-player, Galaxy-like thing for Mario, right?
Right.
We might not get an exclusive proper Zelda, because people are starting to think, like, what if it's an NX project?
Right.
Yeah.
So
we're not going to get a proper Metroid.
Which just fucking stings.
I mean, we just... I
it's
don't
an
want
L for Metroid right now. Like, Metroid came out of this with an L, and it's a shame, because Metroid deserves... I've always said this. They deserve better, and it's gotten to a point where I question if Nintendo even has the people still that are right for Metroid. It's like, maybe Metroid Prime 2 and 1 were the peak, and now we're at a point where they're just never going to make that next big thing for Metroid.
Sounds like they need Platinum.
I think that, like, not Platinum necessarily, but I think, like, if they took the bullshit out of Other M and gave Team Ninja another shot, that would be a really good game.
Or they actually did give that game to Platinum, and probably would be a better game than modern Team Ninja, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's true, too.
But if they had a cocky.
But
he would add jiggle physics to Samus, so that's probably pushing it.
But the studios to make that game exist, and
In
Nintendo
can't partner with them, you're right.
And Nintendo has good relationships with those studios. I mean, they have good relationships with Valhalla and with Platinum and with Team Ninja.
Yeah. Or, realistically, like, people don't want... Like, your fan base on some level has said, Action-y Metroid sounded cool, but really, when I think Metroid, I think atmosphere. I think an alien world to explore. I think action-adventure, not action. Like, what Metroid Prime is, when you think about it, is... It's not a first-person shooter in a sense, because a lot of the time you're just like, I don't care about the... Because a lot of that game, the whole design philosophy is you're not going to be fighting room to room. You actually explore space, and then the bosses wins when you fight something. Like, how many shooters are built like that? None. It's just Metroid Prime. So, that's the game I want, and it's like, I know next level games can make an action-adventure game. I know Retro Studios can make an... Speaking of which, by the way, the people that are like, Retro Studios is also many people, let's go over this. Because someone made this joke the other day, and I kind of agree with it. Retro is reverse Rare. They keep dropping people that they apparently don't need. Because look at this. The director, Mark Pacini, and 2 other guys left. They went to form Armature Studios. Now, I was the one that said that they went through some potential development bullshit, because... WB didn't give them enough money and they rushed them, but there's no spinning this. Batman Arkham Blackgate was a bad fucking game.
Yeah.
And above all else, it had bad game feel, which, when Platinum is rushed, Legend of Korra, the game feel, it's on point. Mad World, which I don't like, the game feel, like, mechanically, it feels exactly what you want. The game's just repetitive and not good. Right? Bungie, who I shat on all of last year, their bad game, the shooting part feels good. Right?
Yeah.
Like, the fundamental thing you are doing. Halo, the campaigns I don't like. The fundamental thing you are doing feels good. Batman Arkham Blackgate
doesn't feel good.
It doesn't feel good. So it's like, it's bad at a fundamental level. Okay. Then you have one other guy who was working with Bethesda, who, William, you need to look up what the other Doom trailer was going to be like before they scrapped it and made the current version of Doom. It is the most generic fucking shit. I've ever fucking seen. And whatever, it's a trailer to not a game, but it's a trailer to the tone of that game. And I'm like, that guy was creative director, and he made that, and he worked on Metroid Prime. Okay, the Metroid team didn't need that guy. He probably is the reason Metroid Prime 3 ended up in some of the ways it did. Okay, cool. Don't need him. And then the final guy works at 343 Industries, who isn't the guy that made the art style, which would be like the logical thing you would think, because everyone made that Metroid Prime thing comparison, right? He was the lead level designer in multiplayer. Now, William, I know you do not like Halo 4's multiplayer, but can you name a Halo 4 map that you remember for being good? And not because you remember it because it was shown up a lot.
I liked that. I don't remember the name. I liked that one with the big tower in the center and like the forest around it. But that was about
Exile.
Yeah, Exile was pretty good. But that's
it. It's a BTB map, and it's like, but like, how much of the rest of the game you just felt like was like, these are balanced map, but they have no identity. There's no sense of place.
They all
to them.
felt the same.
Yeah, like everything felt like it was Haven, and then it was a version of Haven again. Just the art style changed. Like that was my common complaint. Was like none of this is as bullshit as Sword Base, but because none of them try to be bullshit or anything, they're just symmetrical and uninteresting. And Halo's had interesting maps, so it's like these are the five. Yeah, these are the five key people they have lost. None of them have a good thing under their belt. Meanwhile, when people left Rare, they made Time Splitters.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, and I don't know.
So it's like Retro can definitely make this game. Or Edgy Numa. Man, imagine what Edgy Numa could do if he wasn't working on Zelda and working on a Metroid. Or what if the GOAT finally got a run at Metroid? Because he's never touched Metroid. Well, Prime, sort of, but not, like...
I would be interested to see what Onuma or Miyamoto would do with Metroid.
So, the point is, I don't know. I'm just really not happy with how Metroid was treated. It was so fucking unfair at the Make-A-Wish Foundation E3 that was this year. That... So bullshit. So bullshit. They get a fucking F.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, is that what you're scoring their conference?
Retroactively, I was about to give E3 as an F. I will give E3 an F.
But I feel like I would give Nintendo's probably their conference maybe like a C- or a D.
Yeah,
because it was not entertaining.
I agree. Like I said, it was fluff. Nothing felt like wow or
problem
cool.
The problem with their games are like, other than Star Fox and whatever, Yoshi's endearing, but like. There's no, like, Game of the Year contender type game that you're looking at there. There's no, like, WoW game that you're looking at there.
I mean,
there's just nothing meaty.
I think that Xenoblade is meaty, but we've seen so much of it.
It's not like it's announced.
Or they didn't show enough of it during that thing. They showed, like, a quick trailer.
I mean, we didn't see anything new. And
yeah. Like, if it looked like Nintendo was getting behind that game and just really going all out... Like, if they gave it the Fallout 4 treatment of, we're gonna show you a lot of things about Xenoblade right the fuck now during this thing, I feel like maybe that would have helped the games, not only the games cause, but like just the digital event, because like, okay, they're focusing on this game, they're making it sound like an event, right?
Right.
A lot of the game, the only thing they made sound like a big thing was Star Fox and Mario Maker.
Anyway, the thing about Xenoblade was they did a treehouse like last year.
They had like a 40-minute treehouse on it.
Yeah, so I mean, it's gotten attention, but we've seen it. Mm-hmm. But I mean, other than that, Star Fox, I mean, looks
Star Fox
cool.
looks great.
Triforce Heroes looks fun, but
like,
I'm not like over the moon for it.
We didn't see enough of the Fire Emblem stuff. I mean, like, the weird thing is, like, their lineup is good for this year and next year. Like,
so
I feel like
why was it so boring?
I feel like it's strong, but they just didn't present well, which is weird because last year they presented fantastic. And I don't know, the conference was weak, but I feel like their game lineup is actually pretty strong.
It has stuff I'm interested in. I wouldn't call the game lineup strong, but I feel like when you're looking at that game lineup, you could have done better.
Yeah.
That's my issue. Because I think the lineup I would still give like a C or something. And realistically, I'm giving it an F for the Metroid thing. But the conference, I feel like you could have done... by the way, the whole petition against the new Metroid thing, I clearly am not a fan. How the fuck is it fair that studio would have to cancel a project and then lose out on money?
I mean, no one is forcing people to buy it.
Yeah. I don't it would be nice if some, I don't like playing the gamer entitlement crowd because I think gamers should be a little entitled about certain things. This is being entitled. You are, okay, they're just doing a job. They still deserve to earn their paycheck. If you want to petition that the words Metroid Prime should be taken off the title of that game, I'm with you. Maybe I would actually play that game if it didn't have the words Metroid Prime on it. But it does. That's the issue.
Yeah, it's not so much that the game itself looks horrendous.
I'm willing to look at this in a positive way in that this is just something that they are doing to keep the team busy. Because if they were going to treat it like Metroid... They are talking about, listen, we're not done with Metroid. We're doing something. It's obviously getting NX'd.
Mm-hmm.
This is just not what I want from Metroid. And someone's got to be looking at that franchise again. Someone's got to... Because if Skyward Sword sold the way it did, and they still responded to it, and realized we need to fix this, then someone is looking at Metroid and going, okay, how do we fix this? Metroid Prime 3 didn't sell as much as we would like. Metroid Prime 2 didn't sell as much as Metroid Prime 2 sort of hurt itself by going full Metroid. And I wouldn't complain, but it's just the reality of the thing is that Metroid Prime, at some point you have to be able to do business while being quality, right?
Yeah.
You gotta find that balance. It's cool when a game comes out and says fuck sales and it's the most amazing thing in the world, right? But can't do it all the time.
No.
That's I'm willing to be not Nintendo's ruined my life. They didn't retroactively ruin Super Metroid and Metroid Prime. Me and Towers are still going to talk about the prophecy and the brilliance that is Metroid Prime. It is what it is. This just wasn't fun, and this whole E3 they came out of it looking like they had the least interesting stuff to show. When you think about it, you think they had the least interesting thing when you're watching the thing. When, you get some time to, really look around the demos and how they're doing the treehouse stuff. It's not that bad, so how did you fuck this up?
Yeah.
So, I think I think the other thing that hurts them is not enough new IPs as usual.
Mm-hmm.
Last year they had 2. Splatoon.
Yeah.
Splatoon was instantly new. Even the way it played, you were like, oh, that is definitely not more of the same. And
it got a response.
Yeah. And then, Codename Steam wasn't even announced during the digital event, but Codename Steam is what put the treehouse to me on a bit of a map. It was Nintendo announced this new thing, and it's what? And Robot Abraham Lincoln is... I'm what?
You have my attention.
Yes! It's a turn-based strategy game by Intelligent Systems. And it's a new IP, and it's using Valkyria Chronicle stuff. I'm yes. Yeah, so surprisingly, I've yet to play that game, but that's probably because it got bad reviews and it's bothering me subconsciously. I want to play it fresh and in a good mood. And after the Metroid announcement is not a good mood. But I don't know. They could have done better. That's really the whole thing. I think they deserve a bit of an F for that. Because the lineup's better than what they showed. And that in itself is deserving of an F. Taking the Metroid anger out of this, you could have done better with the games you had. Not an A, not a B even, but you could have made it respectable. Come on. So, do you think NX comes out next year or 2017? Shit. All right.
That was weird.
I don't know at what point I blacked out.
Yeah, I don't know. But
no, what was the last thing you heard me say?
We weren't fans.
Was basically I said we weren't fans of what their conference was, but what you said was, the lineup isn't bad, but the way they presented it was not good.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So this is gonna have background noise. I don't give a fuck. We're basically gonna end soon, so that's why. It's just they could have done better. They deserve the F more so not for their lineup, more so because they could have done a better version of that.
They presented poorly.
Yeah, but there was no way of getting around that they just didn't have a gun to go with. With all due respect to Star Fox, it's just... in that case, they didn't show enough of Star Fox to make you think it's a gun. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or they shouldn't have led with Star Fox.
Maybe they shouldn't have led with it. Yeah.
I think that exact same footage of Star Fox as a closer would not have been strong either then.
But it would have been better than Mario Maker.
I do think, my thing is, the Zelda thing should have got benched for, the Metroid thing absolutely should have got benched.
Yeah. Maybe
announce that thing stealthy. Maybe you don't get 38,000 dislikes and only 3,000 likes on your YouTube channel. Yeah, the ratio for that has been pretty bad. Not because they're not going to be, not because the Zelda thing might not be good, but because I feel like Fatal Frame's more interesting than that.
Yeah.
I think Devil's Third should
have some presence.
Unless it's gotten to a point where even they're doubting it and they're like, all right, let's just get this out of the way. Because that's my big worry sign of the way they're treating Devil's Third. Because it's been under the radar both E3s, but it has been one of their games. So
yeah,
that's interesting.
It's like you look at the other games that they announced or showed, and it's like why weren't they part of your
event? I get why Animal Crossing is part of the event because amiibos are selling. I get that. I don't know why I needed to know about Metroid Prime Federation 4.
It's like, why not show Fast Racing Neo or like that other JRPG that they're doing?
Yeah, show that trailer. Whatever.
Yeah.
Show another Kirby game, because I bet there's one in the works and getting and shit. Anyway, I'll do it. I gave it an F. William? I forgot what you gave. I think you said D or C?
Probably a D or a C minus. Just like I'm interested in some of what they showed, but they presented it very badly.
Yeah, D plus for me maybe.
Yeah, I think probably a D plus. After like having far and away the best conference last year, this year was not.
It's disappointing.
So. It was sandwiched in between the Make-A-Wish Foundation press conference. You might as well like add that to your title when you write the Sony thing, because I think Chris put it on, described it perfectly as the Make-A-Wish Foundation press conference.
Yeah.
And then the very next one is the Square one, and the Square one was like, fuck yeah.
Pretty much. So, not only does Nintendo basically close it for the big three, they do the worst. Yeah. And then they get upstaged by a company that's putting on their first conference.
Yeah. Bethesda had a better press conference than them.
Yeah. And Square.
And Bethesda had less games we're interested in, William. Put that into perspective.
Yeah. Nintendo's E3.
It was Square's first press conference?
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you were talking about Bethesda when you were saying that.
Well, both.
Yeah.
Yeah, but goddamn, they fucked up. Anyway. Kira?
Yes?
Grade them.
I thought I just did.
D plus, she said.
I might have forgotten because we got the whole disconnection thing.
D plus.
Unless you literally said it in the last 4 minutes, in which case I really fucked up. Or I'm burnt out on all these podcasts at this point. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll do it, though. I mean, E3 was fun. I think next week we'll either do a decompress of, all the information we finally, accepted as, these are the games. This is the game that was interesting. A thing I want to talk about is press conferences in general. Because I feel like we keep coming on things, a whole thing of stop doing this, stop doing that, stop doing this. These are the adjustments you need to make. Because I feel like that's is E3 the way it is? Because we want it. What do we want fixed? Yeah?
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That'll be our next podcast. Either that or we finally need to start talking about some of the video games we've been playing. Or in my case, actually play video games again of some kind that aren't Bloodborne. Or finally have Chris and Phil... Finally have Phil back on a show. Jesus Christ. Damn you, Phil. Anyway. We'll close this out. Oh, comment, and subscribe to us on iTunes and Stitcher.
That was E3. We are Endless Backlog. Follow us, like us, review us, listen to us. Don't listen to us. Do your thing. Peace.